Hello everyone, I'm Tracy and I'm here with Shane. Today's video, we're going to be giving updates to the aftermath of Hurricane Helene regarding the land grab, the death count and the missing, and also get some witness reports from people on the ground that are seeing what's really going on. So before we get started, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so before you leave, and like, comment, and share this video so we can let as many people know what's really going on there. So with that, I do want to make a quick announcement. I will be very shortly, probably tomorrow, be launching the channel's memberships. So now if you want to support the channel more, you can join the membership program. There's going to be 2 tiers. One is going to be $2.99, and with that, you get priority comments. So your comments go at the top of the membership section, and you get priority to replies. And what else are we offering with the first tier? Also personalized badges. So when you comment, you get a little icon, and you'll see what those are. We put a lot of thought into that. And then the second tier for $5.99 is going to include all of that, but also polls that we're going to be putting out for members that can help us give input as far as what kind of content that we're going to do going forward. And then eventually we want to do a third tier, which will involve exclusive membership videos and possibly live streams. So we're not there yet, but for now we wanted to launch the first 2 tiers. So please support the channel, sign up, keep up with what's going on. And but aside from that, thank you all for the tremendous support. October was our biggest month in some time regarding the growth of the channel, the amount of subscribers, views, and the interaction. So I wanted to extend my my gratitude for you all, and thank you and welcome to all the new subscribers here. Okay, so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Shane, and he's going to go into the land grab and some of the new developments regarding that.
All right, so I tried to read all the comments, and I thought that making priority comments for the members would be a great way for you guys to get your comments seen, especially to guarantee that I see them and to make sure that I can actually read through at least all of the member comments.
I forgot to mention the private Telegram chat that we're going to offer for the second tier.
That would be the second tier. Yeah. So for the second tier, there's going to be a private Telegram group that will give you guys access not only to Tracy and I, but to each other. So I'm sure that there will be a lot of messaging between each other in the group, but Tracy and I will try to check it at least daily and get back to you guys. So yeah, in addition to the first tier, member comments would be in priority. So that way I make sure I see them, because some videos we get over 1,000 comments now, and it's really hard for me to keep up with all the comments. So if you do become a member, tier 1 gets priority comments, and I will be guaranteed to see your comments, and they'll be the first ones I read. And then yeah, tier 2, you're going to get access to the Telegram group so that you'll have, be able to ask, questions and answers of Tracy and I, as well as the other members as well.
Okay.
All right. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Now we're going to go into Hurricane Helene. We're going to do an update here. And I wanted to point out that, there were millions of people in the track for Hurricane Helene. I'm going to show this graphic that shows the power grid beforehand. And then after Hurricane Helene went through, this graphic shows over 3 million people without power. So at one point, there were over 3 million people without power, and 1 million of those live in Western North Carolina alone. And so we had many, many millions of people that were impacted by this storm, and some of the heaviest damage affected over 1 million people, which is really strange because, a lot of people think of it as being not a very populated area, but when you consider all of the people that live in that area, you're talking millions of people were affected. And that's why I think it's a little bit strange that we've only had a death count of approximately 232, according to CNN. Now, another strange thing is that this number has actually come down by about 30. There was originally over 260 people declared dead, with like 100 and at least 110 of those in Buncombe County, where Asheville is. However, they've since released a statement that they had, quote unquote, overcounted their dead by like about 30 or so. So the number in Buncombe County came down from over 110 to 70 something, which is really strange that they would overcount their dead. You know what I mean? Like, counting is not a very hard thing to do, but yet we've seen this once again, just like we saw in Maui, where the death count actually went down for a little while there. So there was over 115 or 117 dead in Maui, and they've since reduced that to under 100. But then I think there have been a couple more that have been added to that list, so now it's back over 100. But I just wanted to point out that the death toll here in Hurricane Helene has gone up and down. And so the numbers are probably unreliable. Now, like I say, this CNN quotes 232 people, but we've heard rumors that you could add 1 or 2 zeros to that. And I think adding at least 1 zero to that would make it way more accurate, because there's so many people that are still missing. There was a missing list, which I will post a link in the comments. This list had originally over 2,700 people who were missing, and it now contains about 580 people who are missing still to this point. It's assumed anyone who is still missing at this point is likely dead. However, they have not yet been declared deceased until the bodies can be found. So if they don't even find the bodies, they will never actually get added to the death count list. So we have to kind of figure out, according to the official dead count and the missing list, approximately how many there might be. And another thing, go ahead.
I did want to give a little insight, if you are in the area and you do know someone missing, is I know with Maui, they only considered a person missing if someone put an official missing persons report in with the Maui Police Department. So if you are in that area, it might help you to put an official missing persons report in. But we all also understand, after a disaster like this, that is often very difficult to do, and with everything going on, might not be a priority. But we did see that with Maui.
And just like with Maui, we saw a disaster that sometimes, in some cases, took out entire families. So the entire multi-generational family might be dead or missing, and there may be no one left to declare them missing. And that has happened in Maui, and I believe that it's likely to happen here again, at least in a few cases. So another thing I wanted to point out is that also with this missing list, there are families who claim that their loved ones have been removed from the list, even though they have not been found. So it seems like a mere rumor of someone being found can actually remove them from the list. However, I've seen a video clip, I don't have it handy, but I have seen a video clip of one particular family who claims that their family member is still missing and has not been found, even though he has been removed from the list. And I can almost guarantee that he's not the only one that that's happened with. So the fact that these numbers are coming down is both a good and a bad sign, because yes, there is better communication. People are getting in contact with other people. And so the number has come down from 2,700, but we're not certain that all of these people have actually been found. Some of them are actually being just removed from the list prematurely. So I wanted to point that out. All right. So another thing that we have going on is this, it's not just a rumor of a land grab. We've seen that these lithium mining companies and the spruce pine quartz mine as well are in this area. And it's a bullseye, right? And we have also confirmed the Albemarle lithium mine at Black Mountain, which is owned by BlackRock. And there's also the spruce pine quartz mine, which is also dead center in the disaster area. So we are certain that these lithium mining operations are connected to this disaster. But I just wanted to play another clip. This one is from Governor Roy Cooper of North Carolina. But this governor has actually kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit, and he said the quiet part out loud. And I'm going to play a little clip about that.
We just had a 1,000-year storm event in southeastern North Carolina, 1,000 a year. We know that that's not true anymore. We know that these events are going to become more and more intense. So we've spent a lot of time being smart about the way we approach rebuilding. We go into communities, we work with them, we have plans for local governments. You know, in some areas, you just shouldn't build back. And we've been able to convince certain communities and people that buyouts are better, and you create green space that soaks up flood water that comes and protects surrounding areas. When you do build back, you have to invest more in order for property to be more resilient. So climate change is here. We know that we have to do something about it. We know that the United States is the leader in the world, needs to set an example. North Carolina needs to set an example. There's still a lot of climate denialists out there.
All right. So it's almost just like with Joe Biden. You know, he said, we know that these are going to become more intense. Well, how do they know that? Right. And then another thing he said is that they already have plans for those areas. They're working with the locals to, you know, move forward on those plans. And then he was also saying how some places just should not be built back and buyouts might be better. And those kind of buyouts that he's talking about are the sale of the land to places like Albemarle for the lithium mining and so forth. And I just wanted to point that out. Another couple things I wanted to mention is that he talks about climate resilience, which is another one of those keywords. And he also, you know, called some of us climate deniers. Now, I'm not necessarily denying that things are changing, but I'm denying their reasons for why they're changing. So anthropogenic climate change is definitely a thing, but it's not in the way that they want us to think. So instead of it being because we drive cars and eat meat, I think it's more so because of, you know, weather modification and things like that. All right. Speaking of these buyouts and the land grabs, and their priorities in all of this, I wanted to play a little clip that shows how the mining operation is actually back up and running. So this Spruce Pine quartz mine was fabled as being some of the best quartz in the world, and it was important. It's an important source of quartz for the entire world. You had shown me a video from a year ago how they were trying to put in the Piedmont mine, and the local residents were against it. They were protesting against it. Yeah. However, you know, I guess whatever backroom deal they made allowed it to go through, despite the opposition to it. So, and it looks like this is the exact same thing that's happened in the Black Mountain mine with Albemarle, and as well as the Spruce Pine quartz mine. You know, it doesn't matter what the residents want. You know, the government and the Department of Defense want it, so it's going to go forward. And I just wanted to play a clip that shows that just, in fact, the Spruce Pine quartz mine is again up and running already.
One of the two companies that manufacture high purity quartz in western North Carolina is up and running again. Sibelco announced on Thursday that production and customer shipments have restarted at its center in Spruce Pine. Sibelco and the Quartz Corporation shut down operations ahead of Helene's arrival. The two companies provide a big chunk of the world's quartz used in a lot of devices like cell phones. The Quartz Corporation said last week it was too early to know when it could resume operation.
All right. So yes, there's two quartz mining operations there. Sibelco is the one that Tracy had pointed out to me before. There's like a 9-year-old video that some guy did on the Spruce Pine quartz mine. And then his video went viral after sitting pretty much unseen for like 9 years. And it was because he reported on the Spruce Pine quartz mine over 9 years ago. And then people had found it and were re-interested in it again. So I just wanted to show that, you know, while they may not be prioritizing taking care of the people or giving them food, water, power, or housing, they have definitely prioritized the mining operations because they're already getting back on their feet. All right. So now I guess we can shift gears a little bit to go to some of the stories from the people with boots on the ground there. So I wanted to share this little short clip that was on the news, and I'm going to play it now.
I went to put a couple of people into a hotel last night, and they have a security guard at the hotel. And they said, "Oh, we're so sorry. The entire hotel has been booked for federal employees. And it's like, no, I have people that would just pull it out of a mountain.
All right. So just like we saw in Maui, a lot of the hotels that could have served as short-term housing for the victims were actually booked completely full because of the federal response. So the federal employees that were part of the response, which does include FEMA, were booked into these hotels at such high numbers that there was no room left for the victims. So as you saw, this guy, he brought victims to a hotel and said, sorry, we're full. We've been completely booked out for the federal employees. So what we've seen here, at least in the Hurricane Helene disaster area, is that a lot of the hotel rooms have been booked out by FEMA or other federal responders. And it's really caused a lot of inconvenience, to say the least, for the victims of this flood.
Right. I heard a
Now,
lot of people are sleeping in tents on their lots or
yeah, people are sleeping in
ground.
tents. They're sleeping in their vehicles if they still have a vehicle. And some of those that are able to leave the area and find hotels are finding that there is a price gouging. So even when there is space available for them, the prices are being gouged to the point of like $400 a night. And even if they were approved for the $750 FEMA money, then that would only cover not even 2 nights in one of those hotel rooms at that rate. All right, so now I kind of want to move forward to another one of these boots on the ground testimonies. And then this is about someone who was actually working with helicopter pilots to save people. Yet, however, some of the credit for their efforts were going to other places like the Florida National Guard and FEMA were taking credit for things that actual private citizens were doing.
What got me fired up about this was yesterday, me and my team did the rescue of that 11-day-old baby. All these government officials and social media, they're showing that video, that pictures and video of that rescue and claiming that like they have some like government helped with that. Even USA, I think it was USA Today, wrote an article about it saying it was a Florida National Guard that went and got it, like with a helicopter. No, it was me, my buddy Charlie, and a civilian named Zeb with his own personal helicopter out of Wilmington, North Carolina. Like without that civilian, that baby would be dead.
Yeah. So here we see, Florida National Guard being given the credit for something that this guy did. Now, I don't have the original link and I don't know this guy's name. So if any one of our viewers have the original source for this, or if they can tell us who this was, and we can give him credit and give him a shout out, that would be great. Now, I have one more clip from this guy who says he was talking to local National, well, not necessarily local National Guard, but National Guard who were in the location where he was. And they had actually shown up relatively quickly within the first couple of days, but they had to stand around and twiddle their thumbs because they were not given orders to do anything. They actually cannot actually go into action until they're given orders. So there's 2 types of National Guard activation that can occur. You've got Title 10, which is from the governor of the state from which they're from, or Title 32, which is issued by the president. Now, in this case, no Title 32 was issued by Joe Biden, and the Title 10 orders varied by state depending on which governor sent the Guard. However, I just want to show that whoever this guy was talking to, they were there by day 5 or 6 and still had not received their Title 10 orders from their governor.
Only thing I need from this video is helicopters. If I have helicopters, I can save lives. Yesterday, when I was at the Asheville airport refueling, which by the way, the civilian is paying all this out of his own pocket. He's not even looking for a reimbursement. I think we did 4 refuelings yesterday. And that was like just in half a day's work. We're in Asheville, and I saw 2 Air Force Helicopter 60s. And I knew they were PJs, just looking at them. And I went up to them, I'm like, hey guys, like, what are y'all doing? And like, this is what you need to be doing. This is how I'm finding people. And they're like, we can't go. We're waiting on Title 10 orders. And I'm like, what? They can't get any authority. There's military helicopters all over here sitting on the ground, and they can't do nothing. Even my JSOC boys in Fayetteville, they can't get orders to come out here. It is just the most disgusting thing, and they're killing these people. And I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know what kind of conspiracy. I've heard so many things, whatever you want to come up with, but they are literally allowing these people to die in the mountains right now because we can't get helicopters.
So, yeah.
Did you want me to comment on that?
Yeah. Is there anything you wanted to say?
I just had this thought, and it's not something I'm really keeping an eye on, but something I've been noticing, and this is something that was really driving me when I reported on Maui, is little by little people lose interest in what's going on, especially now with the election so close. But it's really important that citizen journalists, people such as us and a lot of other people that already had platforms, to continue reporting on this, or it dies. I don't think this one will die as quickly as Maui. That one was like really quick, and there were maybe like 3 or 4 of us even putting content up. But I just wanted to, encourage anyone that has a platform that's been reporting on this to continue as long as you can.
Right. Yeah, it did seem like the news cycle is moving a lot faster than it used to, and people are jumping from one story to the next, and the previous story just gets left in the dust. And we did see that with Maui. There was only a few of us who kept it alive, but it seems to be even faster now since Hurricane Helene, because as soon as Hurricane Milton was hitting the headlines, people stopped talking about Hurricane Helene. And it turns out that Helene was the bigger of the 2 disasters. All right. So now, speaking of stories from people with boots on the ground, I had actually alluded to an airport that was shut down before. Now, I didn't actually share the video because it's questionable whether the people knew they were being recorded or not. So there was an undercover video where someone went into the airport and actually spoke with the lady at the counter, where she admitted that FEMA had shut down the airport. Now, I did link that in the description, and I can also link it in the description of this video as well. But I do have another short clip that shows some of the people who were doing the relief efforts. This one is in the Greenville airport, and they have a similar story.
And FEMA has flown in like 10 or more helicopters and blocked a runway here at Greenville downtown. Okay, here's the helicopters that are blocking one of the runways here at Greenville downtown, all flown in by FEMA helicopter pilots, and they're just sitting there doing nothing. Greenville Aviation over here taking in all kind of supplies, everything that people want to drop off. There's a huge operation going on over here. Yesterday we ran about 30-something planes, and they came in and halted. FEMA came in and halted all that operation.
Today it's awfully quiet, and we see these helicopters lined up. Turns out that's FEMA. FEMA has shut down all the local donation operations that were going on and delivering supplies, and now they're saying that they're not allowed to deliver any more supplies anymore. So all these people are, unfortunately, have all these supplies but cannot take it up there. So that's our government for you. Oh, and another thing, those helicopters that have been sitting there, I've been sitting there since this morning. Haven't seen a single movement, just a bunch of impacking of important equipment and nothing happening. So I'm so sorry.
All right. So that's just another story which corroborates with the reports of the airports being taken over.
But there is a lot of red tape regarding the contracts that the federal government has with hurricane relief or disaster relief, and these rules hold things up, and sometimes, actually often prevent outside help from happening, because these contracts are often worth multi-millions of dollars, and so those companies want to make sure that they are the number one relief organization for certain things. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying that is something that right. I've been hearing a lot.
And speaking of those contracts, a lot of those contracts have what they call preferred vendors on it. And so there's only these certain list of vendors that are allowed to be used for donation purposes. So like when you send things to be donated, they can only be from like these certain corporations. And I'm sure that FEMA has made a deal with some of these vendors, these preferred vendors, as they call them, to make lots of money. And I think in a time of emergency like that, it doesn't matter, what company sold the product. I think the need for those products were there, and they should have been allowed in. So that's my 2 cents on that, is that it's basically it's crony corporatism, aka fascism. where they give the contracts to
Faster
their buddies.
capitalism.
Disaster capitalism, yes, exactly, where they give the contracts to their buddies instead of, whoever is best for the job. All right, so now I do have another clip about FEMA. This one goes more into their actual priorities.
FEMA's first goal under this initiative is to instill equity as the foundation of emergency management. The second is to lead the whole community in climate resilience. And the third aims to promote and sustain a ready FEMA and a prepared nation. Third is the readiness of FEMA and a prepared nation. The third is actual disaster relief response. The first and second agenda points are purely political. Equity along some kind of identity politics basis, and climate change. Climate change, everything through the lens of climate change. Actual disaster response, third, maybe when you're done with that. Goal 1, instill equity as a foundation of emergency management. Yes, the actual direct disaster relief appears to be downgraded next to FEMA's goals of funding selected, quote, disadvantaged communities based on qualifiers such as susceptibility to climate change and socioeconomic and identity politics, including race and gender. This stuff over the places who actually need direct relief after they actually suffered weather events and natural disasters, after something actually happened. The places where something actually happened have been put in the back seat as this agency and this administration have focused on ideological, heavily politicized goals instead of actually just responding to the emergencies.
Now, that clip was actually from Aaron Dykes, who's part of Truth Stream Media. Aaron and Melissa have done a two-part so far on Hurricane Helene, and they are supposed to be doing a third part soon. So if you go over to Truth Stream Media, or you can, I'll link those two videos in the description below. But there's a lot of information in their two-part video so far, and I look forward to part 3. All right. And that's all I have for today. So
I do want to just comment on who's putting out these new priorities regarding disaster relief. I cannot believe they applied the DEI thing to rescue and disaster relief. It seems to be going against what they're trying to, what they should be trying to do, which is to save Americans, period, not just ones of a certain social economic background. But it seems like that is their number one, goal, is to make sure they only rescue or help those of a certain demographic. It just goes against the whole goal that they say that they're trying to promote, which is equity. But instead they're making it unequal.
Right. It is shocking. However, it does not surprise me. I'm not surprised because the parent agency of the Federal Emergency Management Agency is the Department of Homeland Security. And we've already seen that the Department of Homeland Security is also on this woke train of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So also in that two-part video on True Stream Media, they do show the FEMA zones. And FEMA has classified each zone according to its susceptibility to climate change, for one, but it also uses, diversity as well. So like diversity and socioeconomic status, of each zone are also taken into account.
But yeah, I think that's the main thing we wanted to do. Again, we're trying to not let the story be left behind with everything else going on. So we do want to, do whatever we can to keep the story alive. Also, we have a book that is written about these disasters. We have a whole chapter called Disaster Capitalism, where we give examples of how companies come in after a disaster and make millions of dollars on these contracts. We give a couple examples. I don't expect this disaster to be any different. So please go to www.themauibook.com, and you can get either a hard copy or electronic version. And then Burn Back Better, which is the first Maui book, is also available there too. And I think that is going to do it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that before you leave, and like, comment, and share, and join our membership if you want to provide more support and get all those benefits. And we will depending on, how it goes, we will expand those benefits and hopefully add a third tier, but we'll see how it goes. So with that, thank you guys all for being here. Thank you so much for caring about the story, for caring about, the world and what's going on. Again, I'll say it, it's a very pivotal moment in history. And we just can't let these atrocities go unnoticed and unaccounted for. People that were responsible for this, like, they should be held responsible for what they did and for the death and destruction. And as of now, it doesn't seem like anyone is paying for their crimes. So thank you again for listening and for keeping up with this. And with that, we will see you all soon. Bye.